Hello, welcome to Nots Today with me, Emma Caldwell. Happy Thursday. This is the only show that's all about the news and views for Nots, and here's what's on the way just for you. We met refugees who've created a new art exhibition to celebrate becoming a part of the local community.
Feel very lucky, have a lot of opportunity in Nottingham. Miss me, my family, but now I have this family.
We're also going to be hearing about an improvement in waiting times for eating disorder treatments. Nottingham City Council's Health Scrutiny Committee met earlier today to discuss updates to the Mental Health and Eating Disorder Service, but there are still some concerns that certain disorders are being overlooked. Also on the way, how we're a step closer to a railway line between a Nottinghamshire village and Loughborough, reopening more than 60 years after it closed. The Great Central Railway project wants to reconnect two sections of track between Leicestershire and Ruddington. It's costing millions and taking the effort of dozens of volunteers, but their dream is looking more likely than ever. We're also going to be hearing from amateur photographer Ian Stevens, aka Lawnmaster, who's just announced his second book. The book features beautiful photos from Ian's mission to capture shots of Nottingham every single day of the year, and all the proceeds made are going to some brilliant local charities too. We'll have more on that later on in the show. And of course, we've got your sports roundup, where we'll be hearing Forest fans' thoughts on the club's new stadium revamp plans.
I'm glad it is, to be fair, because people can't get tickets, and it's like the season tickets, you can't. I'm in the list now, waiting for one.
All that and loads more coming up just for you. But first, and workshops at City Arts have been helping refugees and asylum seekers build connections and community through creativity. The project has been a combination between their Refugee Art Club and local charity Refugee Roots to develop an art exhibition that celebrates the culture and inclusion here in Nottingham. Jack Sims reports.
Building a community through creativity. For the past few weeks, City Arts Club and charity Refugee Roots have been hosting workshops involving art being created around the theme of community as a superpower. The club has collaborated with artist Marcia Porto to create several works for this exhibition, which is now being displayed at Nottingham's Refugee Week, where several events across the city have been showing their support and solidarity for those beginning new lives in the UK. Estimates from Nottingham City Council suggest there are 7,000 refugees and 1,500 asylum seekers in Nottingham. Nationally, there are also increases of those coming from Afghanistan and Ukraine. Olinia Pino came to the UK 10 years ago, but events like these have made her grateful for coming here for a second chance.
I have this opportunity with refugees that help me employ also my English because I am autodidacta. And yes, I feel very lucky to stay there in Nottingham, have a lot of opportunity. Yes, miss me, my family, but now I have this family. It's important to meet other cultures. I feel international.
Building a community has become a key part of the focus for Refugee Roots. They want these week's events to get more local people to help those coming here to grow their connections and confidence.
Well, local people are the source of local knowledge. They are the people that can help people find their way around the city. They are people that can help people feel more at home here, help people to learn local language and use of language, Nottingham terms that exist only here. This is about being proud of Nottingham as a place of welcome, a place where you can feel safe, where you can feel at home.
Artist Marcia Porto has been leading these workshops. She says they not only provide a safe space for those seeking refuge, but believes creativity has helped them connect.
I truly believe in art. Art has this huge power to put people together. It was a good way to express themselves, their feeling, their experience in life, because when you are having this experience living abroad, you live your life there. So it's a good way to show your history and your memories.
These craft sessions will give those looking for a new home the power to create their own communities right here in the heart of the city. Jack Sims for Notts TV.
Thank you, Jack. Time for some of your news headlines now. Volunteers behind a project to reconnect a heritage railway line running between Nottinghamshire and Leicestershire say they are now masters of their own destiny after being given planning consent for a new viaduct. Preparations can now start to relay about 500 metres of new track and bring two separate sections of the historic Great Central Railway back together. One operational section is in Ruddington in Nottinghamshire, whilst another is in Loughborough in Leicestershire. The Victorian High-Speed Railway first opened in 1899, running between Sheffield and London. However, it shut under the Beeching Railway cuts in the late 1960s. Next, a teenager who murdered a Nottingham man at a city skate park has had an attempt to appeal his conviction turned down. Kai Howitz, who's 19 of Trent Boulevard in Lady Bay, killed Jack Edwards in an attack with a brick at Sutton Street Skate Park and was later convicted of murder. On Tuesday, the Court of Appeal denied Howitz permission to appeal the conviction. Howitz is serving a life sentence with a minimum term of 14 years. Now, earlier today, a Nottingham City Council health meeting discussed updates to the mental health and eating disorder services. Overall waiting times have decreased, but there are some concerns that certain eating disorders are being overlooked. Our local democracy reporter Lauren Monaghan is here to tell us more. Lauren, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. So first of all, tell us a little bit more about the eating disorder service.
Yeah, so I was at Nottingham City Council's Health Scrutiny Committee meeting today. So the Eating Disorders Service, it's for all ages and it's delivered by Nottinghamshire Healthcare NHS Foundation Trust. So people might know this as the local NHS trust that's responsible for mental health and community health across the county. And then any services that that trust runs to do with this is ordered and commissioned by the Nottingham and Nottinghamshire Integrated Care Board. So that's just a bit of background on what I was listening to today.
So we talked about the figures that have come down with waiting times, which to me sounds like good news. Can you tell us more about this?
Yeah, so recent figures have showed notable drops in wait times for those with eating disorders who are waiting for assessment or treatment. So for 2024 to 25, that financial year, the average wait time for assessment was 4.7 weeks. So this is compared to 6.5 weeks the financial year before. So that's about a 2-week difference. And they're saying that there was additional slots that were offered by the service that helped this. And then the average wait time for treatment was 13.9 weeks in 2024/25, and this was compared to 20.25 weeks in 2023 to 24. So they said in the meeting today that this is partially due to the implementation of First Steps. So First Steps is a Derby-based charity that focuses on early intervention for eating disorders and for people who are experiencing mild to moderate eating disorders.
I mean, there's a lot going on, and I know ears will prick up all over Nottinghamshire when we talk about this, of people being concerned. But there are actually some concerns with one councillor who was expressing some concerns in the meeting. What did she say?
Yes, so this was from Councillor Georgia Parish, who's chair of that scrutiny committee. So when it comes to First Steps, the Derby-based charity that I just mentioned, people can self-refer to it. And she said that this might cause some confusion because when you actually access First Steps website, there's no information that they can and do work in Nottingham and Nottinghamshire. So she was saying that there was some confusion there. She also said that she regularly speaks to 6 GPs across 6 different practices in Nottingham, and they weren't aware that they could refer patients on to First Steps. And that she also spoke of the issue that GPs said that they purposely don't make referrals if they know that they won't take the referral further. So this is an issue with BMI.
And have any of the health trusts or boards responded to those concerns?
Yeah, so in the meeting today, after she expressed those concerns, they did say that there's a steering group that regularly meets, and that includes a GP, and they're confident that it doesn't apply to all GPs across Nottinghamshire.
So there is some kind of help with that, and hopefully things will move forward. But for the moment, Lauren, thank you so much for keeping us updated with that. We appreciate it. Time for some more of your news from around Nottinghamshire now. 2 Nottinghamshire projects that are helping older men stay active and maintain good mental health are closing because of budget cuts. The charity Age UK says it can't afford to run its Men in Sheds clubs in Worksop and Blydydd any longer. The Sherwood one pictured here won't be affected. Age UK says it will also shut its charity shop in Sutton in Ashfield later on this year. In a statement, the organisation blames a rise in national insurance and minimum wages for the closures, adding that it had been a very difficult decision. In Nottingham City, a new scheme helping more than 90 children with mental health problems so serious that they're missing school has shown promising results. The Mental Health Improving Attendance team, part of Nottingham City Council, has been working with children in primary and secondary schools who have missed classes for 15 days or more. Of the 12 closed cases in the first 19 weeks, around 7 of those children have returned to school. Dozens more are still being supported. The scheme's progress is due to be discussed by the City Council next Tuesday. Next, the family of an e-scooter rider killed after a collision with a car earlier this month have paid tribute to a much-loved family man who they say had a heart as big as they come. Scott Catton was riding along the Ridgeway in Top Valley on the evening of Thursday, June the 5th, when the crash happened. The 53-year-old died in hospital 2 days later, and in a statement released today, relatives said he was a much-loved Nottingham Forest fan who made a lasting impact on everyone who knew him. Notts Police say an investigation into what happened is ongoing. We are back after this short break, and next you'll be hearing what Nottingham Forest fans think about the club's plan to expand the City ground, and you'll meet the Nottinghamshire man whose pictures of the county are so popular they've been turned into a book. Hello, welcome back to the only show on TV about what's going on in your city and county. Some more news headlines for you now. First of all, a man arrested on suspicion of murder following a fatal house explosion in Worksop has been released without charge following a police investigation. David Howard, who was 53, was killed in the blast on John Street on the evening of April the 12th. Detectives detained a 43-year-old man afterwards, but now say he'll face no further action because there's no evidence anyone else was involved in the incident. A report is now being prepared for the coroner, who will hold an inquest at a later date to try and determine what happened. And the country's first Windrush Commissioner has been announced as a man from Nottingham. The Reverend Clive Foster, who of course has been on the sofa here at Notts TV, will take up the new role created by the government after the scandal involving thousands of Caribbean migrants. Reverend Foster, who's a senior pastor who works at the Pilgrim Church in the Meadows, will lead work on how to improve the compensation scheme for those affected. In 2018, it emerged thousands of people had wrongly not been given the legal right to remain in the UK after first answering the call to come and help rebuild Britain's post-war economy in the 1950s. Time now for our final guest of the show, and if you're a regular to Notts Today, you may well recognise his name from previous pictures of the day, and of course been on our sofa too. Ian Stevens, aka Lawnmaster, is an amateur photographer who takes photos of Nottingham every single day of the year, and he's just announced his second book. The book is set to be published on the 1st of July, and every single penny made will be donated to Basset Law Hospice and Nottinghamshire Wildlife Trust. And here to tell us all about it, and of course most importantly how you can get your hands on a copy, is Ian himself. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thanks for inviting us back again.
You are very welcome. So before we talk about the book, how did taking photos every single day start for you?
It really just came from someone on Facebook saying to me, do I fancy doing this 365-day challenge? And I just said, no way, move on, go from there. And then I was doing the 30 Days Wild that the Wildlife Trust do in 2022, whatever it was. And I got to the end of it and I thought, do you know what? I might just give it a go. I'll take a few photos. It might just keep going for a little bit. And then it just sort of exploded. And as you know, there we are 1,084 days later after the day one.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible, isn't it? Where does the inspiration come from? Do you ever wake up and think, I don't know what I'm going to photograph today?
To be fair, I never really know what I'm going to photograph. So sometimes if it's like Remembrance Day, I think it'd be nice to get a sort of like a poppy type theme, or if there's a memorial thing, I'll try and arrange that. But a lot of the time, it's just you go along and you go, oh, do you know what? That's quite nice. So, and today, I saw. Don't know if you've ever seen the damselflies when they're mating and then they curl up together like a love heart. Oh. I saw 2 of those, and I put that for my photo today.
Oh, I love that.
So
well,
nice.
Let's talk about some of the photos in the book. We're going to go through just a couple of them.
Right,
let's start with this photo because this is a really interesting one.
Right. Well, that's the cover for book 2, get the plug in there. And I really like that one. It was in Clumber Park, and we were just walking along, as we do. So there's no idea about what I'm going to take. Saw the photo, or the leaf, and I just thought, looks really great with the raindrops on it. And then I just thought, oh, hang on a minute. You can see all the hairy bits. So when you go along, you see the big trees, you don't think about it. You think, oh, it's this massive great tree, it looks really nice. But you go right down to the small nitty-gritty.
There's so much detail in that photo.
And it's only taken on my phone. There's no clever stuff that's gone into it or anything at all. I might have cropped, that one wasn't cropped, I don't think, but it's just how it came out.
And how did that one end up on the front of the book? If you show camera one with the book so we can see.
There we go. There we are, everyone. Sorry, it's not for sale, this one, because it's my proof copy. The only one in existence at the moment.
Ooh.
But be yours
so how
soon.
did it make it onto the front page?
Just like book 1, I thought, let's just do a little bit of a poll. So I chose 4 photos and said, what do you want? And this one came out as the favourite, which is really bizarre because on book 1, my favourite out of 4 that I did the same for was the one that was chosen as well.
Interesting. All right, let's look at another photo. We've got this second photo now. Look at that. Again, so much detail for a mobile phone picture.
Yeah, and that was in the Peak District, so not Nottinghamshire, so I do apologise.
It's all right, we'll forgive you.
Yeah, so we were just walking along and it'd be a tree that's growing in early spring. No one's going to take a notice of it, they'll just go straight past. We went along because it looks like it's almost cupping and protecting all the new growth, and we just sort of like the whole thing is like nurturing and spring and new growth, and it's just all these little things. So our favourite photos, they're not necessarily the big, we don't go to Africa, so we're not seeing big game or anything like that, but it's just small things that you can see. But it just really looked quite like just the way that it was like enclosed in there, and that was actually my wife's favourite on the poll as well. So I'm sort of semi in trouble because I didn't choose hers.
It's all right, you got it on the telly though, Ian. You've done
so
well.
at least I mentioned her. Hello, Jenny.
So let's look at the third photo that we're going to talk about. Look at that, beautiful.
So that's again, and that gets me more brownie points because that was our anniversary walk that we do. We go to the Peak District again, and we just stopped for lunch and we got up afterwards and just thought, do you know what? It was the way the light was coming through and the moss on the wall. And again, people might just go for a walk and they've just got storming along, doing their stroll, and you just miss all these things completely.
And they're so beautiful.
It's great. Yeah, but there's no thought that goes into it. I didn't go out on all those 3 days to say, right, I want to get a photo of a leaf or something.
We're running out of time, but I definitely want to talk about the book. So tell us when and where we can get our hands on the book.
I'm publishing on July 1st, and Green Cat Books is a ordering. You can go through that. And we're basically doing it through me, so if you order it, I'll sign a copy for you. It's £15, all to charity.
And which 2 charities have you chosen?
It's Battlelaw Hospice and Nottinghamshire Wildlife again, so we appreciate all the help. And £1,400 last year, so just looking to beat that this year if I can.
Honestly, I think the fact that you've done a second book as well, my second year in 365 photos, is absolutely brilliant.
I'm a week and a bit away from finishing year 3 as well, so you know what's coming.
We do know what's coming. Ian, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Cheers.
Good luck with the book. Thank you. Next, do you love a good debate? Then the Notts TV debate is your must-watch show. Join us each and every month as our panel dives into the issues that matter the most to our city. You can catch the latest episode throughout the week on Notts TV or stream it anytime you like online. And this month's hot topic, how clean is Nottingham? It sparked plenty of discussion. Take a little look at this.
If you have a down at heel feeling around a place, then as you said with Bottle Lane, is the danger it sort of goes down and down and down? Yes. People don't want to come in. You know, the comments on social media saying, you know, we stay away now because it's horrible. Have we got to that?
You know, I do feel for the council, I think the people who work in the council are struggling with what they allowed or what they can and cannot do. We used to use, I use the word used to use, the council to collect our bins from the back alley. And we had a problem with them picking them up and all this kind of thing, to the point where there was mounds of rubbish, food rubbish, that I didn't know what to do with. So this was Christmas time. We had this massive fight, and the answer I got was, why don't you move the business to someone who cares? And so I moved the business to someone who cares. So I'm thinking
that
the
business of the refuse collection?
Yes. And
away from the council?
Away from the council.
The council said, move it to someone who cares?
Yes.
That's astonishing.
And-
We'll leave that with our journalists, and maybe we'll pick that one up and see what the council has to say about that. I'm sure its position might differ from individual officers. So
sure.
just to make that clear.
I mean, that is a lively debate, isn't it? You can catch it any time on demand. Time for your sport now, and we are starting with Forest, whose stadium revamp plans have been recommended for approval. The new plans would see the existing Peter Taylor stand replaced with a 10,000-seater stand, increasing the City Ground's overall capacity to 35,000. Which estimates suggest could cost around £130 million. The club is also seeking permission to build a 169-unit apartment block next to the grounds too, before the plans are considered at Rushcliffe Borough Council on their planning committee meeting next Thursday. We asked people what they thought to the potential upgrade.
I'm glad it is, to be fair, because like people can't get tickets, and it's like the season tickets, you can't. I'm in the list now, waiting for one, and there's thousands of people waiting for one.
If it's going to be better for the fans, good.
Like, because like the stadium's getting better, like to be able to do international matches, like England matches in Nottingham and stuff like that, and that'll bring more of a crowd to Nottingham as well, and it'll be a better atmosphere.
On one hand, the revenue's fantastic, but then you've got to think about the management, crowd management.
That Forest can get, much stronger team because it increases their revenue as well.
Sticking with Nottingham Forest, and defender Willy Bolly has signed a new contract with the club. The deal keeps him at the City Ground until summer 2026. Bolly from the Ivory Coast has played 45 times for the Reds since his move from Wolves in 2022 and has established himself as an integral part of Nuno Espirito Santo's side. He made 9 appearances last season, and Forest say with European football next term, his experience is likely to be even more valuable to the squad. Tennis now, and in the Nottingham Open, British teenager Mimi Zhu went out in the second round earlier today after a spirited performance against world number 31, Magda Linette. Zhu went toe-to-toe with the 2023 Australian Open semi-finalist in the opening set and for much of the match, but eventually lost 7-5, 6-1. Next, Nottingham has been chosen as the venue for a key archery tournament in 3 years' time. The city will host the World Archery Europe Target Championship in 2028. The finals of the event will take place in Old Market Square, and what better way to mark the announcement than a photo op with Robin Hood himself. Nottingham previously hosted the European Championship back in 2016. Time for your picture of the day now, and this one is from Lawn Master, who joined me earlier on in the show. Look at that butterfly, absolutely beautiful. Don't forget, of course, you can see your photos on the telly too by tagging knots_TV over on Instagram. Weather now, and what a lovely day it's been today. Sat at 29 degrees with lows of 15 overnight. Tomorrow even warmer, hitting 31 degrees with lows of 17, and Saturday is going to be a whopping 33 degrees with lows of around 15. Visibility is good, and the sun is due to set around 9:30. Unfortunately, pollen levels though very, very high throughout the weekend, so take those antihistamine. That's it for now. We are back with more news in your afternoon update tomorrow, and then of course we return again at 5:30 for your Friday Knots Today. Look after yourselves, stay cool, make sure you drink some water and put on that sun cream, and I'll see you soon.